grave detail last Wednesday on this question, and we ran out of time, and so we're now looking to the stove-offs. Wendell?
How do you grow intimacy? Well, I think that my answer on last week, if I remember correctly, just speaking for myself, that intimacy for me really revolves around communication, right? And that as transparent as I am in my communication with my wife, really kind of determines the level of intimacy, if that makes sense. That if we're not on good speaking terms, then you have to examine that, right? And I think too, a big part of that communication piece for me revolves around are we really meeting each other's needs, right? Because if my needs aren't being met, then I'm gonna be less likely to really feel that intimate, close connection with my spouse, right? I mean, we'll just be real about it. We're men, right? And most, men are physical, whereas women are more emotional, right? So if I'm not stimulating her emotionally, if I'm not meeting her emotional needs, then there's going to be a level of disconnect when it comes to being intimate, right? And then if she's not meeting my physical needs, because I'm physical, then from my standpoint, there's going to be a level of disconnect when it comes to me wanting to be intimate and open and close to her. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yes, no. And so I think how to grow it is definitely being in tune with, what language your spouse speaks, and making sure that you're speaking that language, right? And then at the same time being open and honest when you feel like your needs are not being met, right? And being able to come together and have that conversation to just resolve it and pay attention to it. And I think that, you continue to grow it as you continue to just always work on it. Because communication is not something that you just get one time and then you got it and you never have to work on it again. I think it's a constant battle with all the different distractions that are going on in your daily life. It's easy for a busy husband and wife to lose that connection with each other just in day-to-day living. Right? Hope that helps.
Okay, how you grow it. And he pretty much covered it, spending time with each other, knowing what each other's needs and wants are. In order to know what your spouse needs, then you have to spend that time with them. You have to communicate with them. And in order to get to know them better in that area, how else are you going to do that if you're not spending time together, if you're not talking? Sometimes, women, we have to just come out and say, look, this is what I need you to do, because you have some, I've experienced, talking with couples, that some of the men just don't know what to do in some cases. And women, you have to be, comfortable with your spouse to be able to say, baby, this is what I need, this is what I want, this is what I desire. And I think the husband should be the same. I mean, we are one, so why can't I go to my husband and tell him, okay, I need more of this, or not so much of that. Why can't I be that? So that comes with being open, honest, and spending time together.
Piggyback on that real quick. Because one of the things I think, and you guys can tell me if you agree or disagree, but I think that it's natural and it's easier, I think, for the woman. It's more acceptable for the woman to go to the husband and be like, I need X, Y, Z, right? And then he's like, okay, I get on my job. But then a lot of times the husband don't feel like he has that same open invitation to go to his wife and be like, look, I need X, Y, and Z. Really just X. Without feeling like he might have some type of repercussion for him being open and honest about what he wants.
Well.
And if he doesn't have that open invitation from you, then I'm telling you, he's gonna shut down. And he's just gonna go through the motions, and you're not gonna really get the total, you're not gonna get the maximum out of him as it relates to him being open and intimate with you if he can't come to you with his needs, with his desires, and be fully accepted the same way that you want to be accepted when you open up to him.
That sounds like equal rights to me.
But really, the word says that, your body is not yours, it's his.
Amen.
That's the word.
It is a word. First of all, you got to realize the fact, okay, you came to the marriage because both of y'all had some desires and some needs. Whether you communicate or not, that's basically where we start out at. Because again, nobody can read your mind because we base it upon, okay, I meet needs that I think you want because that's what I want. But that may not be what you want. So we have to communicate. First of all, I have to communicate. And you also have to also realize the fact that over time, some things change. Some needs change, or some needs may be a little different than it was. So I can't do the same thing I did 10 years ago that I did now, and I think it's going to be, I'm going to rock your world, because it may not. It may not. Let's just face it, let's talk turkey, okay, because the bottom line is that you know that there are some desires that you like, and as you grow, and if you're really growing together, they're gonna develop in certain things, okay? Just like I'm dating myself. Back when we would actually had Polaroids, you took a picture and you had to wait till it developed. Okay? Before you actually got a picture. Same way it is in a relationship. Sometimes you gotta wait till it develops before you know exactly what you got. And then when it develops, then you know exactly what you're looking at. And again, it goes back to, like I said, being open and honest with each other, and not being scared to say, hey, I didn't know you were like that. No. Okay, because again, it goes back to the fact that your spouse is supposed to meet all your needs. Okay, as far as intimacy and all that, and apart from God, okay, physical. Okay, so same way as the situation with both of them.
Like how Pastor Stovall said, he felt like he may not have the same equal rights to say, what he wants. But it's almost like a toddler. If my toddler comes to me and falls out on the floor, well, this is what I want, and they have a temper tantrum, or they do this because I'm not doing what they want, then I really don't want to do what they want. You know what I'm saying? And I feel like women have more finesse, maybe naturally, to have a better way to say things. But if just random example, if I said, do you like what I'm wearing? Well, where you get it from? Or, it's like this, or how much did it cost? Or anything like that. But your man needs you to spend a little more wisely, then he could say something like, well, that's beautiful at Macy's. Have you checked Ross? There's a way to say things where you're not just killing the moment or making the person feel less, so you can still express your physical needs or whatever, but you gotta take a dress it up class or something. Right? Because if you tear them down, then they're like, fine then, then you just get what you get, you don't go a fit. But if you finesse it, then you might get finessed.
It's not just what you say, but how you say it. It's a very good point. Because let's face it, you can say no. No. Or yes! Because sometimes you got that attitude, Okay, come on. No offense, but okay, and I'm just gonna be honest with you, because men, we may not like it, we may perform, but we don't really like that. Okay, I'm just being honest, okay? We may perform, but we really don't like that. I want to know that my wife wants to be intimate with me, just like I want her to be intimate with me, okay? So it has to be mutual, like Brown said. It is co-laborers, okay? And here we are, we're co-laborers. So you have to understand, and let's be honest, you have to tell a person what things don't work and what things do, okay? Because if you're not open and honest, trust me, I told you, nobody can read your mind. I know they love you and all that, but they still can't read your mind. Okay, so and tell them, I don't like the way you said that. I mean, if you had been a little bit nicer, maybe it would have been different results. I mean, let's face it, this is, you can catch more bees with honey than you can with a sexicide. Okay? So, let's be honest, it really is. Okay, go ahead.
All right, we got a question on the floor.
Just one of the questions. Say, for example, you are open and honest, and telling your spouse that what works and what will works, but it seems like it's even that's you know what I'm saying. That's not even a open avenue. You understand what I'm saying? Say, for example, that you express the fact of what will. Okay, you said, okay, sweetie, this will make this thing work good because this is how this will work, and then like those conversations, where you get that at, or just something of that nature, or just not even a word, just action that can make, because of course, definitely you want to feel like it's because especially when you get intimate. A performance is actually the icing on the cake, So at that point, I mean, the communication has to be, a receptive and I guess how you say it, a willingness to do, on both ends.
I think when we go back to the beginning of the session when we were talking, when the question was intimacy. It seems always that when we talk about intimacy, it always ends up in a physical way. But intimacy, the whole concept of it is to be open, right? To be intimacy, right? Into me. So allowing your spouse to see into you. If your spouse is able to see you, if you are not covering up or not hiding or being bashful or shameful or whatever it is, and allow them to see you, they're probably going to know you more. You know what I'm saying? The conversation as to what pleases you, what don't please you, what makes you upset, what makes you sad, what makes you cry, what makes you happy, that stuff he'll already know. You know what I'm saying? But a lot of times we're hiding. So physical intimacy is hindered, as well as spiritual intimacy definitely is hindered, and any other sort of intimacy, which is a whole gamut of stuff. It's not just physical, it's the whole gamut. Is allowing the person to get to know you. The man and his wife was in the garden, they were naked and they was unashamed, right? And so you have to keep that in mind when you think about intimacy.
Very good. I'm going to comment as well, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, look at this now. I love that when, I love all the responses that the panel gave. And I like the part where Lady V said, intimacy is into me, see. I really believe you need to know your own language of love for yourself. I know my own language of love, and if I don't know what that is, I'm not going to be able to communicate to my spouse, this is what I like, this is what I don't like. For example, now, my husband's probably going to laugh at this, but I don't care. But I binge watch old movies. That's one of my languages of love. I will watch Aliens until I can't watch Aliens no more because I love to see people running for their lives, right? I will watch Tears of the Sun millions of times. Why? Because I love to see people running, I love the element of danger. I love the element of survival. I love to see people running for their lives. I love to see people getting out of situations. That's just me. And I watch the movie over and over and over and over again. And Thursday nights, they know, don't mess with me. That's my night. Get out my room, shut the door, lock it, and it's been watching on. Okay. Know your language of love, okay? That's just me. Any other questions before we move on to the next question? Great. The next question is, why do women think they know everything? Why do women think they know everything? You want to comment on the floor?
We look at stuff more logical than men, because men, they go on impulse. Like my husband, if we want to do something and we have $5 in the account, he'd be like, okay, well, let's just go spend that $5. And I'm like, no, what if the kids need anything? Like, I think stuff out. So most of the time, I am right. He may not want to say it, but I am right.
We think, we have things connected, where men, they have it's like a drawer. This is the work box. I'm only thinking about work. This is my mama box. I'm just thinking about my mama. This is my wife. I feel like it's never all connected. So because all of our stuff is connected, we can think fast. And not that the husband doesn't have a great idea, or even that he's not right, but he don't have time to get it right because we done wrapped it all the way around and made it look like this is it.
And 9 times out of 10, my husband will come back to me, whether it's the same day or a month later, and be like, "You were right." I know.
I think it's just kind of like what Tanisha said. It's just because I think we're wired differently. Like my husband, when we first got married, he had a hard time believing the stuff that I say. If I say, "Oh, the babies can only wear this type of diaper," he'll go and ask St. Sandy, or he'll go, and I'm just like, I knew this because I grew up. I knew this because I grew up around a lot of babies. Mm-hmm. So you don't have to go and ask nobody. So I just think that we're wired differently. And like Tisha said, like my husband, I can say, "Oh, okay, I need to do this, this, and this, and this, and that." If he have to go to the store and maybe go pick up Ari, it's a lot of stuff for him to do. It's like a lot. He's like, I got a lot of stuff to do. What you gotta do? I gotta go to the store and I gotta go pick up Ari. I gotta go to the store and pick up Ari. I'm like, right, so quickly,
They can't juggle too many
So
things.
it's not that we think we know everything. Like Tanisha said, we just process it. Bam, 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 and it's done. Yeah.
They think that we believe we know everything. And it's because we come across that way. We come across like we know everything. And to them, it's a put off. Because it's almost like they're the not so smart partner. And you guys are right, though. We do think different. First of all, we think faster. Okay, we think faster. We process faster than men. And we talk them in circles. But that doesn't mean that they're not as smart as us. As a matter of fact, they're more analytical. Yeah. So they're figuring out a strategy. We done throw 5 different opinions. By the time he get around to figuring the strategy from A to Z, you done told him all the colors in between and all of that. So to them, they perceive us as thinking that they're slow. So it's just in order to get along, being in this thing like 28 years, in order to get along, it's kind of like, you got to slow your roll, Sister Jones. Because I know I think faster. I can out-talk him any day. Me too. Okay? But I have to respect. To me, it's a matter of respect. I just kind of respect that he knows what he's doing and what he's talking about and give him a minute. Because in my mind, I've already figured it out. But I've got to give him a minute because he is, he is a valued part of the relationship. So it's kind of like we're sitting there going, so how you feeling about what you said? You thinking what? Okay.
But if I do that with my husband, like if I try to let him take the lead on any type of decision, he'll be like, "Well, you're not even trying to help me." Oh, you don't want my help.
Well, that's because he's used to it being a certain way. Men are being raised by women, right? So there's no daddies in the house taking charge and being responsible. They're seeing women in the position of men or in the place of authority, right? So they're used to, we've conditioned men to be almost in a way submissive as opposed to taking authority. You know what I'm saying? So if we don't give them or stand back, how about that? It's not that we have to give them the authority because the authority is theirs, but it's almost like we have to stand down because we're used to being in charge. We saw our mamas in charge.
My husband, he come from a 2-parent household. Mm-hmm. He's still in a 2-parent household. They've been married I believe 31 years. And he doesn't have a issue taking charge. It's just things like, what do you want to eat for dinner? I tell him, "Oh, I don't want to eat that." Okay, well, why are you asking me? I'm confused. Why are you asking me? So you already have in your mind what you want to eat. So when I say, "Well, whatever you want to eat," well, I want your input. No, you don't. because you already have in your mind what you want. So, that's our little issue right there.
Some men may have been taught this is what you bring, you do this, you bring the bread home, you the man this, that, you make this, and then when the woman, she does that, she does, supposed to do this, and she's supposed to do that. And so when it comes to, like, say, for example, I had a young man say, well, I can't make the decision for just the mama's supposed to make that decision, but as a father, you're the father too. So your opinion for your children matters too. So you just can't think that just because it's the wife or she's the mom, that the decision that she made, she doesn't need you, because she needs you as a parent. But because his mindset was he's been trained to be this, I'm supposed to just bring on the bacon, I'm supposed to just work, and I don't supposed to do nothing else. Mama's supposed to be the one to go talk to the teacher, not me, So, and I guess it's just, some people may have been raised like that, you know what I'm saying?
Well, I think it's not that women know everything, or I think the question wasn't asking why they know everything. I think it's probably why they come off as if they know everything. You understand the attitude that is encompassed around what being able to outthink him, and his perception of how you're communicating to him, as if he's the subject. Am I making sense? Mm-hmm. Okay, so you talk to him like he's the subject, and he's not the subject. And so that's what, and so if it's not a mutual ground, whereas you got to ask him everything, but he can ask you nothing, because who are you? So, and I think it goes back to the fact that most people nowadays, especially young people nowadays, come from a single parent family where they saw the mother, right? She had to be the husband, she had to be the wife, she had to be the authority, she had to be the disciplinary, she had to be the provider. And so when you come from that, right, and you have someone that didn't come from that, I didn't come from that. My parents been married almost 70 years. So I seen what, I'm not as fast as her, but I know how to take care. I know how to make decisions. I don't mind making decisions. I don't mind taking the lead. I don't mind taking the authority. I think the problem comes in is when they make the decision and then you criticize the decision because it didn't work. Okay? And so the attitude that goes along with that, right, is what brings him down, right? Because now you should have listened to me, right? I mean, I'm just being real. You should have listened to me. I told. Wait. So you got to see how the role has switched. You switched from wife and friend to mother.
Oh, that's what my husband did.
All right? And so now you want to boss him because you seen your mother boss everybody in the house. And God forbid you get a strong man that ain't going to be bossed by a woman. Because it's not about who's the boss. It's about working together. And so you're going to make some decisions that are not going to work, that he's going to have to go along with. And God forbid that he condemns you because you made the wrong decision. He's going to make some that's going to be erroneous as well. God forbid that as the wife, you don't condemn him, but you come alongside him and encourage him and say, how can we work this thing out together? Okay? So I don't think it's that women know more than men. We think different, and that's how God wired us, to think different. I don't want her to think like me. I really don't. It'd be crazy in the house. You understand? So we have some balance. So, her sporadicness and my stability. Okay, yeah, she's spontaneous. I'm more. And let me just say this to her. Every man is not the same. I want you to know that every man is not the same. Some of them are right-brained, and some of them are left-brained. You follow some, and I'm a little both. you understand? So I want you to, instead of, as from a man's perspective, get to know what side he operates on. Okay, so you know how to deal with that side. And so if you know that you think faster than him, then don't be anxious for him to respond. Give him time. Sometimes she'll ask me, well, can we do this? And I say, well, let me get back to you. Not that I can't give the answer. I can give the answer. But the reason, you got to know the reason why I'm telling you I need to get back to you. Not that I can't make a decision like this. I want to make sure that whenever I say I can do something, that I make sure I do it. So you might want to just, stop and think about, why is he telling me? Why is he taking this time? Why is he pondering this thing? It might be simple to you, but he's trying to make sure maybe he's getting it right, because we are strategic. We want victory because we're looking to win, and we're not trying to do it over and over again as a result of failing, as a result of not making the right decision the first time.
Yeah. No, I think that I was kind of thinking about, the answers that Sakori was saying. And I think that a lot of times, so obviously the question was given by man.
There's no doubt.
Right? And, a man in this church probably married to an African American woman. I can only speak from the vantage point of being with an African American woman. Most of them are pretty opinionated. Right? She gonna speak her mind. And don't get me wrong, I like the fact that my wife is a strong woman. She's opinionated. She had, that she's gonna speak her mind. I don't want a doormat. I don't want some docile, whatever you say, because I'm going to wreck house. Right? So, but I think that, I know a lot of times in my situation, and maybe most of the husbands kind of feel the same way too, that a lot of times the decision from the guy's standpoint, it just really ain't worth the argument. Right? If I do something, if I make the decision and I get it wrong, I just don't want to hear your mouth after it's over if I get it wrong. So look, just go ahead and you make it, because honestly, it don't matter to me one way or the other. Like, I don't care if we have tacos or burgers. Pick one. Let's just go eat.
I'm home.
That's it. I'm home.
Right? Because I don't want to hear your mouth if we go to the taco place and they mess your tacos up. I know I should have had a burger. Oh man, why you ain't just say the burger? I don't care.
Listen to you.
Right? And so because most of the women they handle the day-to-day stuff.
Come on.
So when it comes to day-to-day type decisions, we all right with you making a decision. It's not like he can't make a decision. That's right. But most of that stuff is just really not that detrimental to the relationship. Now, if you're talking about we're going to go buy a car, we're going to sell the house, we're going to move to another city, okay, well, we're going to talk about that. I have an opinion on that. Right? Well, what we going to have for dinner, who going to pick up the kid? Like, I don't care. What do you want to do? Like, whichever one is going to cause you the least amount of trouble, we can go with that decision. And I think that's more so the position of most guys that I know, right? And then there's just some guys, just don't like to be challenged. And he probably should marry a sister. Right? Like, if your ego is so fragile that you can't take somebody with an equally strong opinion and personality as you are,
responded. Should I not marry a brother?
Of course you should. You should marry somebody that can match you.
Some of the best hairdressers are men, and some of the best chefs are men. Places where, women should be the best because we get our hair done and we are in the kitchen typically more than men, but it's because of their ability to focus, and because we multitask, we don't take the time to perfect any one thing a lot, but because men have that drawer, they really know how to take care of their mama if their mama is in one of them drawers, or they really do their job well if they have a job drawer or whatever. And so what I'm learning in hindsight is that for me personally, if I would have nurtured the things that, my husband really did well, he would stay in his lane on the things he didn't do well. And he would let me, I trusted him to handle the things he handles amazingly. Then he will give me the freedom to handle the things that I handle amazingly. But if I'm going to say, oh my goodness, he's still thinking about that, look, all you got to do is do this. And then when it's time for me, well, then I just never get to make decisions. I guess that's how he would feel. But if I honored him and what he did well and gave him that respect, then the things that I do well, he would respect me in that too. So we have to appreciate how long they take to process things because they perfect it or get really close to perfecting it and do it well. So if we appreciate them, it should be easier for them to appreciate and trust the women to make decisions.
House Burton?
Oh, okay. Okay, first of all, you got to know both of y'all you look at things differently, okay? And it's a fool that doesn't use their best assets to approach a situation. A lot of times, the wife may be right. And there may be a few times that the husband is right also, but we have to know which ones are best suited for the situation. Because, let's face it, women may come from an emotional standpoint, where men come from a rational standpoint. And there are some problems that have to be solved from a rational standpoint. Others have to be solved by an emotional standpoint. So if we don't know which one is which, then the lines will get blurred. And I think, it's a lot of times that we deal with things, and a woman, especially if she has been right most of the time, okay? And that probably pulls off as well as, she always says she's right. Well, she probably was, okay? Let's just face the fact, face the music. But there are times that she's also wrong. But you can't hold it against a person because they're using their best intellect to figure this thing out, okay? And we can't beat each other up because we made a bad decision, okay? Because it's our decision, okay? We're both going to face the music, whether it's right or wrong, okay? There's no one person, even though God put the man in charge, but you're going to get some blunt behind that, okay? Because if we make a bad financial decision, it's going to affect the family, okay? There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. So you have to approach it from the standpoint using your best assets. Let's sit down and have the meeting in mind, because like I said, it goes back to communication. I have to make sure that we're communicating, and I know that, hey, okay, what do you think about this? And you can't be offended when the person tells you that this is the way I think about it, and the person tells you that part. You have to come to some kind of common ground with that as far as answering this solution. And sometimes it's better for the wife to respond. Sometimes it's better for the husband to respond. Just depends on which one. Because y'all are a united front, okay? In fact, your children will already know how to play one against the other. They already know. They figured it out at a very early age. Oh, just go ask your mama. Oh, well, mama said, and said, what is dad supposed to do with that? Okay, when mama said, what's supposed to do? Because see, now I got to make you look bad if I say anything wrong. Because see, now, see, daddy did this, you did. See, I was going daddy, and we all want to be the good guy when it comes to our kids, okay? But sometimes it's hard. It's a hard decision. It is a hard decision, really is. So we have to pan this out, find out which one is the best in this situation. And a lot of times, the scales are never going to be equal. It's never going to be equal because y'all are two different people. Y'all trying to mesh together to become one, and that's just over a period of time. That works over a period of time. So it takes some time to get that.
Me and Garrett's last little argument was crazy for one thing, but it also, we came to understanding. Even though I felt like he was wrong, he didn't feel like he was wrong it was just a misunderstanding. So what we agreed to saying, it's not about who's right or who's wrong in a relationship, because if you know your husband or if you know your wife and you know their intentions and you know their heart, you wouldn't even accuse that person of being wrong. So what we agreed to is that we will not accuse each other of being right or wrong. It's just coming to understanding so we can both move forward. move past whatever the situation is. If he apologized or I apologize or whoever apologized, that's what you need to look for versus trying to determine who's right or wrong in a situation, if that makes sense.
Nobody is always right.
That's right.
I don't care who you are, male or female, nobody is always right.
That's true.
No, I don't care who you are. I don't care how anointed you are, how educated you are, you are not always right. You're not always right. You may be right 99.9% of the time, but that 1%, and this may be a critical area, that 1%, that we need that 1% that you're wrong in, and we need to listen to wisdom. Because let's face it, we have to succumb to the fact who has a better answer for this solution. Because if you're working together, it shouldn't be no problem. Because we're united front. Okay, and let's face it. I mean, we may have together. We agree about this decision. They say, wait a minute, let's decide to do this. Okay, and both of us agree with it. Say, hey, we're gonna respond this way. And if it turns out wrong, okay, it's there on both our faces. But if it turns out right, hey, we all good. Doesn't matter who made the decision. Bottom line, we had this decision together. So it's not, whether she thinks she's right or not. The bottom line is just it's a united front.
Similar situations, a person have made a decision. You will, like say, baby, go ahead, you make that decision because and on several occasions it didn't come out right. Is it okay to say, well, baby, let me try to do it this time because let me make the decision this time because of this happening? Would that be disrespectful? Would that be disrespectful if you say, let's try it the way I see it?
Because now it seems like, you're
okay.
pointing fingers down here.
Yeah,
hey,
exactly.
We didn't do it your way, let's do it my way now.
Yeah.
Okay,
Because I
let's
think
do it
that-
differently.
Yeah.
I think that, I know in my situation, I've been wrong a lot. But I mean, one of the things though, is the fact that one thing that Pastor Burton said, that nobody's right all the time. So I'm good with that I'm wrong sometimes. A lot of times it doesn't matter. But at the same time, like no matter what happens in the situation, whether it goes right or wrong, one of the things that we've never done is point the finger at each other. We never place the blame, because at the end of the day, right, if one person makes a decision, well, we both in it together, it affects both of us. And so we've gotten ourselves, by my decision or her decision, into some bad situations. We've gotten ourselves into some good situations. It's just sometimes it works out, sometimes it doesn't, whatever direction we decided to take. But we still took it together. And so we never point the finger. It's always, okay, what do we do next? How do we come out of this? Or, you know what I'm saying? Like, what should we do? What do we need to do differently next time? Right? And so I think that's one thing that's always, really kept our relationship together. It's like, both people are free to fail, right? Nobody's going to be perfect. And I think that one thing I wanted to bring up, what Tanisha said to kind of highlight this, is the fact that a lot of times when it comes to making decisions about what to do with your daily life, there's some things that women know instinctively better than men that really have to be more learned behaviors for us. But then there's some things that men know instinctively and we're better at just kind of by nature that women are not so good at. And so I think it's good when you know the difference, right? Because a lot of times you're expecting him to be as good as you are at making a decision that you can make instinctively. Like you just know the right thing to do in this situation, whereas it's more of a learned behavior with him, especially when it comes to the kids and kind of the house thing. A lot of that stuff women just kind of know. Right, like when it comes to my daughter, can she go? My answer is always no. But my wife uses a little more wisdom in certain situations like that. I'd rather you just sit right here, you stay right next to your daddy, and nothing's ever gonna happen to you.
Stay a little girl for life.
That's it. I don't care how big you get. You stay right here. Daddy got you. Ain't nothing ever gonna happen to you. Right, but my wife is wiser when it comes to that kind of stuff, right? So I just think it's good to know, kind of like Tanisha was saying, know your lane, know what you're good at, know what your spouse is, and respect him for being good at his thing, and don't disrespect him because he's not good at your thing.
I think that when the question asks why do women think that they know everything, it's not that we think we know everything. It's just that when we are communicating with one another, because if you ask me a question, if he asks me a question, I'm gonna answer it. Well, he can turn around and ask me another question, I'm gonna answer it. And then that can go on for a certain amount of time. Then he can get frustrated and say, well, you know, you have to have the last word, you have to have the last say, because we're in dialogue now. But because everything that you say I have a comeback to, now you think I know everything. No, I'm responding to what you're saying to me. It's not that I know everything, I'm just piggybacking off of what you're saying. So I think women have to be wise in how they're answering their husbands so that they don't come off like I know everything. You know, we have to use a lot of wisdom when we're dealing with men, because we can come off like, you know, yeah, I know it all, you don't know nothing because I told you this, this, and this, and you see, you know, we can come off like that. But being wise in our words, the words that we choose, the way that we say things, how we say it, how we approach it. You know, for us, if he asks me, if we try to make a decision and I know it's going to turn out a certain way because I've already done my homework, I plan. So I go from point A to point Z, so I know what's going to happen. You know, I can kind of, I'm not going to say I know for a fact what's going to happen, but I can kind of say, okay, this may happen, a lot of scenarios in between. So when I say, well, we shouldn't do this because this, and this, I always give a reason why we shouldn't do something. I never just say, no, we shouldn't do it. I always say, we shouldn't do this because this, and this can occur, or this, and this can occur. I always ask, what's the worst possible thing that can happen if I make a decision to do something? Let's look at that, and are we willing to accept that? And so when I make that decision and I say, okay, we're not going to do this because this, and this can happen, you know, and he said, well, no, I think we should do it. What do I say? I step back, okay, we're going to do it.
That's my issue.
You
Like,
know,
I can give you all the facts of why this decision is better for us, and you still want to do it your way, the wrong way.
so you let him do it.
Yeah.
And then because we've been in this situation, we've been in this predicament where he wanted to do, he just had his mind made up. He didn't care what was going to happen. You know, at that point, this is what I want. His exact words was, I never get to do anything I really want to do. Okay, well, baby, you go right ahead.
But
and in my mind, I'm thinking, when this crash and burn.
What do you do? Like, do you say, I told you it wasn't going to work?
Well, I didn't say that at that time, but as time went on, when he would bring it up, I'd say, well, baby, you know, I said such and such and such. But it's the way I said it. I didn't attack him. I just said, remember when I said, I brought it back. Remember when I said this, and this could happen? You know, I kind of let him know that had you did it the other way, we wouldn't be going through what we're going through right now. But I did it in a loving, compassionate way. I wasn't just, you know, attacking him. You know, and I wasn't like, I know everything, I know it all, I got it all together, you made a wrong decision, and now look where we are. It wasn't like that, you know. So I let him make the decision because I tell him all the time, we in this thing together. So if we come up together. If we fall together. We in this thing together. So everything in between is us.
But do they ever get to a point where it's like, I don't even want to do it. I don't even want to make the decision no more because I know it's probably not going to be right.
A lot of men are there. They're at the point where they don't, you know what, you do. Yeah, you make it, whatever you say. Because they're frustrated. Because they've failed, sure enough. And we made them feel like you just dumb and stupid because you done failed. Right? And you keep failing and you can't make no good decision. Like you just, and so now he don't want to make any decision. And they're at the place where they've retreated and let you be the boss. And that's not what you want.
But with her issue, we have a joint account and we see what goes in the account and I also see what goes out. And he don't care if it's nothing else in the account at the end of the week. And I'm like, okay, now what do we have to do?
Get some kind of financial counseling. You need somebody that's, you know, because now you need to know why you can't do this and how do you budget so that you're not in this predicament. And that's where, you know, financial counseling come in handy. And like Lady says, it's a bigger issue than just not having that money there. Yeah. So let's go through this process to see what the problem is. Let's get to the root of this so that the outcome won't be as it is now, if that makes sense.
Right. It's a bigger issue, and I just think that if you make the decision, well, what works for us is there's a decision to be made. Okay, babe, what you think? And I get to give my opinion, right? And what I think, and X, Y, and Z, like Sandy said, and this, and if that, then this, then this. But the ultimate decision is his. I come under whatever decision, but I done told you now. See, I done told you, right? I done told you what I thought. I done gave you all the evidence, and it's up to you to make a decision for our family. Now, whatever decision you make, whether I think it's right or wrong, I'm going to support it, right? So if he keeps making decisions to hinder the family or keep us going backwards instead of forward, we need to have a deeper discussion about what's really the issue. There's a lack of respect, there's selfishness, there's some stuff going on right here. It's bigger than just the decision.
After you have that discussion, the person on the other end will appreciate you being the one that say, okay, you know, this is why this, like you said, this is why this is happening, this is why you can't, maybe because it's the same thing. Remember how this happened? This is the same. You got to look out for this, and this is a, so if you make this decision, you already see this is the red flag, and so at that point, because of the discussion, you just discuss it, right? Then that person will respect and also appreciate the decision that you make, because it's not only it's covering you guys as a unit.
And it kind of goes both ways, in the sense of the wife respecting that the husband is the head of the house,
Exactly.
and that he has the authority to make the final decision. But at the same time, the husband being wise, that God said it's not good for you to be alone and you need to help me, right? So using her counsel to help make family decisions is wise on your part, right? And at any point, we overstep those boundaries that God has put in place is when we start having issues, right? When she's not respecting his authority as the husband, as the head of the house, and when he allow his ego to not use her wise counsel to make family decisions, is when we spill over outside of those boundaries that we start running into problems.
All right, this has been really, really good, but we have no more time for any more comments. So I'm gonna say the clock, right? Has this been good for everyone?
Yes.
Okay, so we want you guys to hold on to your questions. If you have some additional comments, I will bring this question up again next week. And if you had additional comments on this, please hold it and bring those comments back next Wednesday to episode 3, all right?